I feel like many look at anime as if it's a product created for a Japanese audience in isolation, and only then do international companies look to license whatever's popular. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Anime is a global phenomenon, and production studios look at what's popular globally to determine how to move forward. Anime became so popular in the West that in the 2000s, Western studios started producing anime-styled shows. Some contracted extra seasons of existing anime, and toy companies would regularly collaborate with Japanese companies to produce anime-style games. Chaotic, Beat-em-on, and Bakugan are all examples of this. Bakugan was a collaboration between Spin Master, Sega Toys, and TMS Entertainment, with important aspects of the franchise being developed by each companies respectively. Sega Toys and TMS were based out of Japan, while Spin Master was based out of Canada.
I was slightly too old for Bakugan. I was around 12 when it came out, and everyone else playing it was around 10, and at that age, that's a lot. I'm sure if I were to have gotten into it when it was popular that I'd still like it because my tastes don't really change. I mean, I'm still into Digimon, Pokemon, only eating chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese. It's all in my rotation still. But at the time, for me, Bakugan just seemed like another anime franchise trying to be the next Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Beyblade. However, what I missed was one of the largest franchises of its time. I had no idea how big Bakugan got.
Bakugan began in 2007 in Japan with a set of toys and a 50-episode anime series. The Bakugan game is based on traditional marble games, like marbles. The Bakugan are little balls with magnets holding itself together, but when the ball hits a magnetic card, it opens up to reveal a kind of creature inside. The goal of the game is to win 3 Bakugan battles against an opponent. You use the Bakugan's G power alongside modifier cards to determine who wins each fight between 2 Bakugan. There were hundreds of these toys produced, even some tie-ins with Marvel. There were accessories, oversized game pieces, and a special set released only available in bags of Cheetos. Neat.
Not forceful at all. Well, it did it, but it didn't hit another card.
Can I try?
Yeah, sure. If you really want. You're just curious.
Although Bakugan initially failed in Japan, it became massive in the West and North America, with the anime going on to last for 4 more series, ending in 2012. What's odd about Bakugan is it was incredibly massive. The series grossed over $1.5 billion. It was in the top 5 boy toy lines for all 4 years of its run, and it won several Property of the Year awards during its run. But then it just faded away into nothing, becoming just a fad.
I'm sure hearing about how Bakugan was incredibly popular during its heyday isn't very surprising to those of you who were into it, but I always thought Bakugan was just that thing some weird kids were into, not something that all the weird kids were into, except for me.
You gotta fight for what's right before it's gone, gone, gone. This is Bakugan.
I've watched about 12 episodes of the Bakugan anime for this video. If you're new to my channel, my goal isn't to give some in-depth review of a game, animated series, or video games. It's more for looking at a franchise as a whole picture. The Bakugan anime, Bakugan Battle Brawlers, expands on the lore of the series. Bakugan are creatures from the dimension Vestroia. Initially, many Bakugan are brought to the human world, but they all operate on kind of a mindless basis. They just follow the orders of whoever finds them. A group of kids led by Dan Kuso, not to be confused with Mikey Kudo, all create a game around the Bakugan. Soon, intelligent Bakugan travel to Earth to warn the players of the game and about the destruction of their homeworld, Vestroia. As an audience, we don't really know much about how it's planned to be destroyed, but a mysterious figure named Michael and a kid named Masquerade have something to do with it. The talking Bakugan all act as advisors and partners to the kids, so even though they all have a group of Bakugan, they really only have a real relationship to one. Each episode of the show usually has 1 or 2 Bakugan matches. Whenever the characters enter a battle, they enter this little magic arena and time slows down around them. And for some reason, there's always pigeons flying by. This doesn't make the show any better or worse, but I love them, I guess? So Masquerade goes around giving Bakugan players something called a Dune card, which has no strategic value, but it makes the loser's Bakugan go into the Dune dimension, a place where Bakugan are trapped forever. So yeah, they're just being jerks for the sake of being jerks, so there's stakes, I guess. From what I saw, the Bakugan anime is charming. It has that classic kids anime cheese, and it introduces its characters in a pretty smart way. The main group of protagonists is made up of 6 kids who all chat together online. They don't really know each other in real life. The show begins by following Dan, a fun-loving competitive tween who developed the rules for Bakugan. Dan meets his partner Dragonoid in episode 1, so the first few episodes are about them learning to value each other. Dan wants to play Bakugan, and Dragonoid wants to save his dimension from destruction, so you could say they're on equal footing. It's cute. They have a fun dynamic, and Dan is always making sure Dragonoid is clean by brushing him with a toothbrush. A few episodes in, Dan starts to meet up with the rest of the cast, 1 episode at a time, which helps to introduce them in a manageable way. They're all fun enough, and their Bakugan have unique personalities. It's fun. I only planned on watching about 5 episodes, but I watched way more because I genuinely enjoyed what I saw. However, although Bakugan is fun enough to watch, it definitely doesn't really help you to learn the card game, which is a shame because it would actually be pretty easy to take some time to explain it. The Bakugan card game is a hybrid game between the cards and Bakugan, the toys. Each Bakugan has 1 of 6 attributes. They all have special names like Ventus and House, but essentially they're stand-in names for things like water, earth, fire, wind, darkness, and light. For each game, each player has 3 Bakugan, 3 gate cards, and 3 ability cards. According to the rules, the youngest players go first, and yo, at Bakugan tournaments, you bet they got bouncers checking ID, so don't try to lie about your age. The game begins with each player taking turns rolling out their Bakugan onto one of their gate cards. Before they roll, they have to make sure that the balls are at least 2 cards distances away from the gate card, however. The gate cards have magnets built into them to activate the Bakugan. Once the Bakugan both land on their gate cards, you flip the cards and apply any stat changes as necessary. Each gate card has modifiers depending on the attributes of your Bakugan. So you take the G power of your Bakugan, which is located somewhere inside of it, take the modifying impact of the gate card, and then take an opportunity to play any ability cards, which override anything the gate card does. Whoever has the highest G power in the end wins. Unless your ability card literally makes it so the one with the lower G power wins, then you do that. That's a thing. That exists. After you win a roll, you take your gate card and Bakugan and place them in the used pile. The first one to have 3 gate cards in their used pile wins the game. Honestly, I think the appeal of Bakugan is taking the balls, rolling them, and watching them expand into a character. The card game is just a structured way and provides an excuse to do that, but it doesn't offer much in terms of strategic variety. I mean, if you count the Bakugan, you have 9 cards in your deck, meaning you have an incredibly limited strategic variety in terms of what you can do. It's a game which gets boring very quickly, which is a shame because the toy itself is rather interesting. The concept of it rolling out to reveal something is cool nearly every time it happens, but because the card game is lacking, it didn't really have any value beyond that. When looking back on Bakugan and hearing what the community has to say, I find some pretty common thoughts and opinions. The first season of the anime is great, but the follow-ups were iffy. The video games are pretty fun and the card game was average. What you have here is an incredible toy concept which has caught on naturally because it was cool and new. But kids grow out of toys that don't have a deeper level of understanding that you can develop as you age. I mean, things like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon had rules which were simple for kids to understand, but there are adults playing it at higher levels because the strategy and options players are given makes it interesting. The Bakugan toy is eye-catching to a younger audience, but the game doesn't offer anything for players as they grow up. And as the anime story went on and decreased in quality, it was harder to bring new viewers in to introduce them to the toy. Bakugan didn't really do a lot to age with its existing player base, and unfortunately, it wasn't really able to attract new players. And because of that, it just became a fad.
A few weeks ago, I was invited out to Spin Master HQ to preview all the great new Bakugan stuff they have coming out. And after listening throughout the whole weekend, this seems to be the consensus for why Bakugan failed. Not exact words, just a general consensus. Right now, Spin Master is getting ready to release a completely new relaunch of Bakugan. At its heart, the core concept of the toy is still there, but all of the supporting factors are coming back with a bang. A few days after this video is released, I'm going to be posting another video talking about my trip to LA, my experience with Spin Master, and my thoughts on the new Bakugan Battle Planet series. But let me just say that the new series is genuinely fun, and it seems as if Spin Master and everyone involved has learned from the mistakes of the original series. Discovering Bakugan was a delightful surprise. The anime was cute, the card game was iffy, but the toy is really cool. And now that one guy who keeps commenting, "I think Bakugan is next" on every single one of my videos, can be satisfied. Anyways, I can't wait to talk about what's next for Bakugan, but until then, I'm gonna go edit a video where I talk about what's next for Bakugan. Special thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Go to squarespace.com/Billiam and use code Billiam to get 10% off of your first purchase. I've been so excited to build my new website, hipstertrash.co, with Squarespace. Basically, hipstertrash.co is hosting all of my recent videos, it's going to host an exclusive blog, and I'm also starting to play with Squarespace's gallery feature in order to host some of my photography. Basically, when people ask me what I do online, I want to send them there. It's my homepage. Squarespace's all-in-one platform is incredibly easy to use, regardless of design or coding experience. There's no need to install updates, plugins, or code anything. All you need is their all-in-one user interface to design a gorgeous website. And if you have any trouble, Squarespace offers 24-hour customer support to answer any questions you may have. Regardless of your use case, blog, online, retail, or portfolio, Squarespace is the best and easiest option to use. So get started on your website today and go to squarespace.com/Billiam and use code Billiam to get 10% off of your first purchase. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. If this is your first video of mine, be sure to subscribe and following me on all the social media links in the description down below. YouTube always makes it difficult for you, my subscribers, and everyone else who wants to see my videos to actually see my videos, so making sure you have access to every single one of those avenues is a smart thing to do. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I will see you in a few days.